Hey guys, I know I haven't uploaded a new video in a while. One of the reasons why is something happened to my racket. I normally keep two models that I play with and switch back and forth on. The racket that I use is the Head Graphene Racquet Pro. I bought these 3 years ago in 2015. If you look carefully right here, hopefully you guys can see on the camera, there is a hairline fracture that runs along the side of the frame. So this happened recently. I didn't even notice it until I went to the stringer and he pointed this out and told me I can't string this racket. And I was like, what are you talking about? Well, apparently these cracks show kind of structural damage in the frame. And as you guys might know, when a racket is strung, it's subjected to a lot of tension. In the case of a crack like this, a frame can actually split apart and basically explode. I was really surprised and a bit taken aback. Basically needed to get a new racket. The problem is because this racket is a much older model, you can't find them in retailers anymore. You can find it on Tennis Warehouse, you can find it on Amazon. eBay was like kind of hit or miss. There were a few used ones or ones with like really extreme grip sizes. You know, I realized that I needed to basically start trying a new racket. So I decided, as I was going through this process, that I would, share a little bit about my thoughts on each racket for a few reasons. One is, just kind of glancing around YouTube, there doesn't seem to be, a leading authority, if you will, on racket reviews and product demos. Tennis Warehouse has some good material out there, but a lot of their stuff can get kind of technical. And from video to video, a lot of their playing pros change. So you don't have one consistent person evaluating each racket. Every player has their own kind of different playing styles and preferences. So I thought I would give it a shot and see how it goes. Okay, this is the Yonex EZone DR98. A couple of key specs. The head size is 98 square inches, weighs 11.5 ounces, 6 points head light, and the string pattern is open 16 by 19. I actually quite liked this one. It played pretty similar to my old racket. A couple of differences. I thought there was probably a little bit more power in this one. One of the benefits was I was able to hit really good serves with this. I probably hit more aces when demoing this with this racket than any other one. Now that said, I thought the kind of octagonal shape of the Yonex racket was a little bit difficult to kind of get used to. So it didn't feel quite as smooth off the ground, but overall, I quite like this racket. I think, if I hadn't found another one that I liked more, then this quite possibly have been my new racket. So one of the other rackets that I tested was the Wilson Blade, 16 by 19, the Countervail version. Again, similar 98 square inches head size, weighs 11.3 ounces. It's 3 points headlight. So one of the things I noticed when demoing this racket is that it's extremely stable, and it has almost a very muted, dampened feel. So I think that is actually owed to Wilson's Countervail technology that they put in the beam. And if you feel the beam, it's actually, a very interesting material. Now what this translated to is when I was hitting the ball, especially off the ground, it felt not too connected to the ball. It kind of, I don't want to say it was like a boardy or a stiff feel, but very muted, very dampened. I think for somebody who enjoys a racket with a lot of control and maybe serves and volleys, play some slice, more of an old school game, this racket would be really suited to them. Personally, I found that it lost a lot of power on the serve, and this is something that is echoed in the Tennis Warehouse playtest. So it's definitely not unique, and it's something to maybe be a little bit mindful of. Overall, I like the kind of stable feel, but just not for me. All right, next is the Babolat Pure Aero. So a lot of you will probably recognize this racket. Rafael Nadal uses a version of this. It's one of the most popular rackets on tour. Tsonga uses this, Benoit Paire, Query, Jack Sock, a lot of the Americans as well. Key specs, it's 100 square inches, the head size, which is, a little bit bigger than what I'm used to. It weighs 11.3 ounces, it's 4 points headlight, and the string pattern is 16 by 19, also open. Now the interesting thing is, even though it's 16 by 19 like a lot of the other rackets, it almost feels more open. I don't know if it's due to the kind of frame construction or what else, but it feels very open. Now a couple things I noticed when playing with this, there's a very strong response from the racket. So when you hit the ball, you really feel connected to the ball. It's almost the exact opposite of the Wilson Blade in that sense, which was very muted and dampened. With this racket, you very much feel the ball. Things that I liked On return of serves, I felt like I could, hit them really, really solid and connect really well. Maybe that's due to the head size being 2 square inches larger, slightly larger sweet spot, but I felt like I could really connect well on the return of serve. This racket is a spin machine, so I don't typically hit with a ton of topspin, but I really saw the ball jumping off the court on my groundies and also serve and hitting with this racket. On the downside, I thought, when I really wanted to flatten the ball out and hit through the court for a winner, this racket was a little bit lacking. I just, for some reason, couldn't generate the same flat pace that I was used to off my groundies and the keel shots. I actually, like this racket a little bit more than I expected, but overall, because of the very, very strong response, I put a dampener on the racket and it still felt, a little bit too much for me. Due to that, the lack of kind of put away power, and also the beam was a little bit strange for me in the way that it's shaped. And maybe this is just a small tick of mine, but when you get ready to go serve, you typically hold the ball to the beam, and that was just kind of a strange feeling to me. All right, the last racket that I play tested and demoed out of the first batch of 4 that I had was the Babolat Pure Strike. So this is the 16 by 19 version. This is not the VS version. There's a couple other naming conventions out there. This is just the 16 by 19 version. 98 square inches head size. Weight is 11.3 ounces. The balance is 4 points head light, and it's a 16 by 19 open stream pattern. Right off the bat, when I just named the specs, you'll notice that aside from the larger head size, it's almost identical to the Pure Aero in terms of just those specs. But it plays extremely, extremely differently. I would say this is more of a kind of control racket and typical kind of player's racket. This racket I liked the most out of the initial batch that I play tested. There was a really good balance between power and control, and I think one thing that I was looking for that I didn't get with the other rackets was there was a really good balance between feeling the ball, so the strong response, while also not being too much. It was very solid off the ground. This was the only racket that I felt I could truly kind of hit out with, and I felt I was able to get into a really strong groove with my groundies, both in rally shots and also kill shots, whereas some of the other rackets maybe I thought, okay, I played okay for a few balls, but then when I went for a kill shot, it just didn't produce the response that I wanted. This one was definitely by far kind of my favorite out of the initial batch that I play tested, with the Yonex EZone DR being a second out of those. So yeah, I have 3 more rackets to demo, but so far this is definitely kind of the front runner for my favorite racket and the one that I will likely be getting.